November 1940. The Bulgarian government proposes the law for protection of the nation, and the Parliament of the Kingdom of Bulgaria votes its approval on the following month. This law, which is the equivalent to the Nuremberg Laws of the Third Reich, deprives Jews of their civil rights and makes them second-class citizens. During the first half of March 1943, more than 11,000 Jews residing in the Bulgarian-occupied territories are deported to Treblinka killing center, where virtually all of them are killed in the gas chambers or shot. The Bulgarian Prime Minister, who in his position is responsible for their deportation and death, is Bogdan Filov. Bogdan Dimitrov Filov was born on the 10th of April, 1883, in the Bulgarian city of Stara Zagora, then part of Eastern Rumelia, which was an autonomous province of the Ottoman Empire. After graduating from high school, Filov received a state scholarship from the Ministry of Education and moved to Germany, where he studied classical philology, archaeology, and Roman history at various universities. His PhD dissertation from Freiburg was published as a book, a supplement to the prestigious German magazine Clio in Leipzig. In 1920, Filov became a professor of archaeology and art history at the University of Sofia. In January 1932, Bogdan Filov married Dr. Evdokia Peteva, a general's daughter, but the marriage did not produce any children. In 1937, Filov was elected chairman of the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences, and at the end of 1938, he became Minister of National Education in the government of Georgi Kesevanov. The Second World War began on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. In the early days of the Second World War, Bulgaria was neutral, but powerful groups in the country swayed its politics towards Germany. As a result of peace treaties that ended the First World War, Bulgaria, which had fought on the losing side, lost two important territories to neighboring countries, the southern plain of Dobruja to Romania and western Thrace to Greece. The Bulgarians considered these treaties as an insult and wanted the lands restored. In February 1940, Filov, a Nazi sympathizer, became Prime Minister of Bulgaria through appointment by Tsar Boris III, and the two became strong allies. When Adolf Hitler rose to power, he tried to win the Bulgarian Tsar's allegiance. In the summer of 1940, Hitler hosted diplomatic talks between Bulgaria and Romania in Vienna, and shortly after, an agreement was signed for the return of southern Dobruja to Bulgaria. On the 1st of March 1941, Filov, as Prime Minister, signed Bulgaria's accession to the Tripartite Pact in the Belvedere Palace in Vienna, and Bulgaria became a member of the Axis powers. As a result, Bulgaria recovered most of Macedonia and Greek Thrace, and avoided being crushed by the German Wehrmacht like neighboring Yugoslavia and Greece. The Bulgarian government, in coordination with Germany and Italy, sent troops into a number of territories inhabited by Bulgarians. The Bulgarian army was greeted in most places as a liberator, and for recovering these territories, Tsar Boris was called a unifier. On the 20th of January 1941, he appeared on the cover of Time magazine wearing a full military uniform. On the 22nd of June of the same year, under the codename Operation Barbarossa, Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. Despite Bulgaria's alliance with the Axis powers and the German presence in Sofia, Tsar Boris and Prime Minister Filov were not willing to provide full and unconditional cooperation to Germany. They refused to send regular Bulgarian troops to fight the Soviet Union on the Eastern Front alongside Germany and the other Axis belligerents. But there was a price to be paid for the return of historical regions to Bulgaria. The price was the adoption of the anti-Jewish laws. In the mid-1930s, Bulgaria had a population of more than 6 million people. In that year, Jews constituted 0.8% of the total population, or roughly 50,000 individuals. Beginning in July 1940, Filov's government implemented anti-Jewish legislation that excluded Jews from public service, restricted their choice of residence, and limited their participation in many occupations. The legislation also prohibited marriage between Jews and non-Jews. The Law for the Protection of the Nation, which restricted Jewish rights, imposed new taxes, and established a quota for Jews in some professions, was adopted on the 24th of December, 1940, and its main architect was Bogdan Filov, and the Interior Minister, Petr Gabrovsky. During the war, German allied Bulgaria did not deport Jews from the core provinces of Bulgaria. The Bulgarian authorities did, however, deport Jewish residents from the Greek and Yugoslav territories that Bulgaria had occupied in 1941. Jewish people in these territories were the only ones denied Bulgarian citizenship, unlike the rest of the population. In March 1943, Bulgarian police and military units rounded up all the Jews in Macedonia, Thrace, and Pirot County in eastern Serbia. Bulgarian officials interned 7,000 Macedonian Jews in a transit camp in Skopje. In Greek Thrace, Bulgarian officials deported about 4,000 Jews to assembly points in Gorna Jumaya and Dupnica, and then handed them over to the Germans. In all, Bulgaria deported over 11,000 Jews to German-held territory, and by the end of March 1943, virtually all of them died in the Treblinka killing center in German-occupied Poland. There were, however, still tens of thousands of Jews living in core provinces of Bulgaria, and both Filov and Tsar Boris were well aware of what would happen to them if they were handed over to the Germans. Nazi pressure on Bulgaria continued for the deportation of the Bulgarian Jewry, and at the end of March 1943, Hitler invited Tsar Boris to visit him. Upon returning home, Boris ordered the able-bodied Jewish men to join hard labor units to build roads within the interior of his kingdom, which served as an excuse not to deport Jews into German-occupied Poland. During May 1943, Filov's government planned the deportation of Bulgaria's nearly 50,000 Jews, who were to be loaded on steamers on the river Danube. The request caused a public outcry, leading to a campaign organized by prominent figures such as Parliament's Deputy Speaker Dimitar Peshev and the head of the Bulgarian Orthodox Church, Archbishop Stefan. Following public protests, the planned deportation of Jews with Bulgarian citizenship was revoked. Most irritating to Hitler was Bulgaria's refusal to declare war on the Soviet Union or to send Bulgarian troops to the Eastern Front. On the 9th of August 1943, Hitler summoned Tsar Boris to a stormy meeting at Rastenburg, East Prussia. The Tsar asserted his stance once again not to send Bulgarian Jews to death camps in occupied Poland or Germany. While Bulgaria had declared a symbolic war on the distant United Kingdom and United States, the Tsar was not willing to do more than that. At the meeting, he once again refused to get involved in the war against the Soviet Union, mainly because many ordinary Bulgarians had strong pro-Russian sentiments. On the 28th of August 1943, shortly after returning to Sofia from a meeting with Hitler, Boris III died of apparent heart failure. Rumors suggest that the Tsar was poisoned on the orders of Adolf Hitler, who was greatly irritated by his refusal to hand over the Bulgarian Jews and to send troops against the Soviet Union. After the death of the Tsar, Filov, as Prime Minister, temporarily assumed the duties of regent for the underage new Tsar, Simeon II. In September 1943, he was elected by the National Assembly to serve on a regency board alongside Prince Kirill Preslavsky, the brother of the late Tsar Boris, and Lieutenant General Nikola Mihov, who served as Secretary of War. Although allied with Nazi Germany, Bulgaria remained neutral in the German-Soviet War and maintained diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union until 1944. However, as Soviet forces approached in late summer 1944, the Soviet Union declared war on Bulgaria. In September, a military coup overthrew the Bulgarian government, and the new communist-dominated government sued for peace with the Soviet Union. In October 1944, Bulgaria switched allegiances and declared war on Germany. Several days after the coup, Filov was arrested and subsequently sent to the Soviet Union, where he, along with other members of the Regency Council, were interrogated for 3 months. In January 1945, Filov returned by train to Bulgaria and was brought before the People's Court. Bogdan Filov was 61 years old when on the afternoon of the 1st of February 1945, the People's Court of Communist Bulgaria sentenced him to death. He was executed by firing squad on the same night at the Sofia Central Cemetery, along with Kirill, the younger brother of Tsar Boris III. Filov, alongside 92 other executed public officials, was buried in a mass grave created from a bomb crater. In total, the Bulgarian People's Court sentenced to death with no right of appeal 3 regents, 8 royal advisors, 22 cabinet ministers, 67 members of parliament, and 47 generals and senior army officers. Following Filov's execution, all his family's property was confiscated, and his scientific titles were revoked. His name was erased from the scientific and political fields in Bulgaria for many years, and his writings were banned, hidden, or destroyed in libraries, including at Sofia University. It reached a point where his major contributions to archaeology were quoted without name. After the fall of communism, Filov was academically rehabilitated in March 1990, and in June 1996, the verdict of the People's Tribunal was overturned by the Supreme Court. Bogdan Filov remains a controversial figure in Bulgaria to this day. On one hand, he was a respected historian and archaeologist, and his contributions in these fields continue to be recognized and studied today. However, on the other hand, he authorized the deportations of 11,343 Jews from the Bulgarian-occupied territories, which were carried out during the first half of March 1943. By the 15th of March of the same month, all but about a dozen of them had been murdered at Treblinka. In one obituary, Filov was described as a man who had mistakenly preferred making history to teaching it. There were no tears shed for Bogdan Filov. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.